The rain hadn't stopped all morning. Gray light filtered through the cracked blinds of Lincoln High's math classroom, glinting off rows of cheap plastic desks. The students slouched in their seats, half listening, half dreaming of lunch. At the front of the room, Mr. Kincaid adjusted his tie. A man whose reputation for being strict but brilliant had turned into something else over the years. Arrogant. He'd won teaching awards once, but now he wore his authority like armor. And on this particular Thursday, his attention and irritation was fixed on one student. Darius Cole, 16, quiet, always in the back corner near the window. Never raised his hand, never caused trouble. Just sat there with that blank, unreadable expression, his notebook filled with tiny scribbles that nobody ever looked close enough to notice. Mr. Kincaid didn't like students like Darius. He preferred the loud ones, the ones who fed his ego with admiration or fear. "All right," Kincaid said, snapping the chalk between his fingers as he wrote a massive equation across the board. "Let's see who's been actually paying attention. Does anyone know how to solve this?" The class fell silent. The equation stretched across the board like a monster. Symbols, variables, and fractions stacked in layers that looked more like a puzzle than a problem. After a long pause, a hand shot up. Jordan Matthews, the class favorite. Confident. Loud. The golden boy who always got praise. Kincaid nodded. "Go ahead, Jordan." Jordan strutted to the front, grinning. He began to solve it, writing fast, showing off like always. The class watched. Mr. Kincaid folded his arms, smiling slightly, but 2 minutes later, Jordan froze. His confidence cracked. Wait, hold on." Kincaid's expression soured. "You've hit a wall?" Jordan hesitated, embarrassed. Yeah, I think..." "Sit down," Kincaid snapped. "Anyone else?" Silence again. Nobody wanted to risk looking foolish. He muttered.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
Then a quiet voice spoke from the back. "I can do it." Heads turned. Every face pointed toward the last row, Darius. Even Mr. Kincaid blinked, momentarily thrown off. Then a smirk crept across his face. "You?" he said. "Mr. Silent back there thinks he can solve a problem that just stumped my best student." A few chuckles rippled through the class. Darius didn't flinch. "Yes, sir. I think you made a small error when you wrote it." Kincaid's smirk faded. "Excuse me?" Darius stood up slowly, clutching his notebook. He walked toward the board, every eye in the room following him. Kincaid stepped aside, half amused, half annoyed. "Go ahead. Show us." Darius studied the board for just a moment, then calmly picked up a piece of chalk. His movements were deliberate, precise. He erased a single sign in the middle of the equation. "You meant negative, not positive, right?" he said softly. Kincaid frowned. "What are you talking about? That equation's from an advanced calculus exam. You couldn't possibly." But Darius was already writing. Fast, fluid. Numbers flowed from his hand like water, each line connecting seamlessly into the next. Within seconds, the board was filled. Complex terms canceled, patterns emerged, and something impossible was happening. The once unsolvable equation began simplifying itself, shrinking down line by line. Students leaned forward, whispering. Jordan's mouth hung open, and for the first time all semester, Mr. Kincaid didn't say a word. Finally, Darius stepped back, placed the chalk down, and underlined the final answer. It was perfect, complete silence. Then, a sound, one single clap Jordan's, followed by another and another, until half the class was clapping. Kincaid's face was stone. He stepped forward slowly, eyes fixed on the board. "That shouldn't be possible," he muttered. "Where did you learn to—" Darius looked down, almost embarrassed. "I just like solving things," he said. "My mom used to make me study while she worked nights. I finish my homework early and find problems online to practice." Kincaid's jaw tightened. "So you're telling me you're self-taught?" Darius nodded. That was when something in Kincaid snapped. He wasn't impressed. He was offended. "Do you have any idea how disrespectful that sounds?" he barked. "You're implying you know more than I do. You think you're smarter than your teacher?" The class froze. The applause died instantly. Darius shook his head. "No, sir. Enough," Kincaid interrupted, his voice rising. "You've made your little point. Go sit down." The quiet boy obeyed, walking back to his seat. But something had shifted in the room, something irreversible. The other students weren't looking at Mr. Kincaid anymore. They were looking at him. The next few days were tense. Kincaid barely looked at Darius during class, but he was watching closely. He began calling on him at random times, trying to catch him unprepared. Every time, Darius answered calmly. Correctly, it only made Kincaid's resentment grow. Then one afternoon, everything changed. Principal Howard entered the room mid-lesson, carrying a stack of folders and a clipboard. "Mr. Kincaid," she said, "we're finalizing our nominations for the state science scholarship. The district wants a recommendation from you for the math portion." Kincaid forced a polite smile. "Of course. I already have someone in mind." He turned toward Jordan. "Our top student, Jordan Matthews." But before Principal Howard could write it down, Jordan spoke up. "Actually, ma'am," he said carefully, "I think you should see what Darius can do." Every head turned again. Jordan wasn't smiling this time. He looked serious, respectful. Kincaid's face darkened. "Jordan, that's not appropriate. This is—" But the principal raised a hand. "I'd like to see that. Mr. Cole, is that something you're interested in?" Darius hesitated. "Yes, ma'am." "Good," she said, smiling. "We'll schedule a problem-solving session after school tomorrow. You and Mr. Kincaid can oversee it together." The color drained from Kincaid's face. That night, he stayed up late searching online for the most complex math puzzles he could find, obscure competition-level problems that had stumped students for years. He printed one out and brought it to class the next afternoon, determined to watch Darius fail. When Darius arrived, the principal, Elle, and 3 other staff members were waiting. The entire class stayed to watch. Kincaid set the problem on the desk. "Let's see if your self-taught talent can handle this." Darius studied the paper for a moment, and he smiled faintly. "This one's familiar," he said quietly. Kincaid frowned. "Excuse me?" Darius looked up. "I saw this problem online 2 years ago. I found a different way to solve it. I sent my solution to the university that posted it." Principal Howard raised an eyebrow. "Which university?" "MIT." Kincaid blinked. "You expect us to believe?" Darius reached into his backpack and pulled out a folded letter, faded but official-looking. The MIT letterhead gleamed under the fluorescent lights. He handed it to the principal. She unfolded it and read silently. Her expression shifted from surprise to disbelief to awe. She looked up. "It says your solution was not only correct, it was published in their student journal." The room erupted. Students gasped, murmured. Kincaid's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Darius stood there quietly, eyes calm, posture humble. For the first time, Kincaid didn't look powerful. He looked small. Principal Howard smiled proudly. "Mr. Cole, congratulations. I think we found our nominee." The applause this time was thunderous. And Darius? He just looked out the window, letting the light hit his face, the faintest smile ghosting across his lips. Because what no one knew, not even the principal, was that MIT hadn't just published his work. They'd sent a second letter, one that hadn't been opened yet. The envelope still sat in his backpack, marked confidential. And inside, it contained an offer that would change everything. The next morning, Lincoln High felt different. Whispers trailed through the halls like wind between cracked windows. Students had seen smart kids before, top scorers, honor roll names. But what Darius did yesterday, nobody had ever seen that. Even teachers, usually too busy or too proud to care about student gossip, were glancing up from their coffee cups, murmuring, "That's the Cole kid, the one who solved the MIT problem?" But the one who felt the pressure the most was Mr. Kincaid. He walked through the hallway stiffly, jaw clenched, like each step carried a weight he wasn't prepared to carry. Because, for the first time in his entire career, someone had made him look incompetent. And worst of all, it was a quiet black kid from the back row who'd never raised his hand. Kincaid pushed into his classroom, slamming the door behind him. Out came the stack of printed exam papers. His pride, his kingdom, the one place he'd always been the smartest man in the room. But now there was a shadow in that room, one he couldn't ignore. Darius Cole. As the bell rang and students filed in, Kincaid forced a smile so thin it looked painted on. "Take your seats," he said. "We have a lot to cover today." The class sat, but every pair of eyes drifted toward the back corner, to Darius. Except Darius wasn't there. His seat was empty. Students exchanged looks. Jordan leaned over to whisper to a girl 2 rows ahead. "He's probably in the counselor's office or something." "Or the principal's," the girl whispered back. Kincaid cleared his throat, annoyed. "He's just late." But he didn't believe it. Not for a second. Meanwhile, across campus, inside the principal's office, Darius sat stiffly in a chair opposite Principal Howard. The unopened, confidential MIT envelope lay on her desk between them. She opened the first letter yesterday, the published solution. But this second letter? Even Darius hadn't opened it yet. Principal Howard folded her hands. "Darius," she said carefully, "why didn't you show this to your teachers earlier?" "I didn't think it mattered," he said softly. "It was just something I do at night." She stared at him. This quiet boy, with old sneakers and a frayed backpack, who solved problems professionals struggled with. "Darius, do you know what it means to have MIT send you a confidential letter?" Darius shrugged, trying not to show nerves. "No, ma'am." Principal Howard slid the envelope toward him. "It means opportunity. It means a future most students can't even imagine. It means..." She paused, lowering her voice. "Someone out there already sees something in you." Darius swallowed. The world felt too big all of a sudden, like a door he didn't even know existed had swung open. "Open it," she urged. But before he could tear the flap, a knock. Sharp. Urgent. The door swung open. Mr. Kincaid stepped in, smiling that same smile strangers wear before doing something unforgivable. "Sorry to interrupt," he lied. "But since this concerns my department, I should be included." Principal Howard sighed. "Mr. Kincaid, this is a private." "Actually," Kincaid interrupted, pulling a folded set of papers from his coat, "I came to discuss a concern." He laid the papers on her desk. Principal Howard frowned. "What is this?" "A formal request," Kincaid said smoothly, "to review Darius Cole's work for potential academic dishonesty." The room froze. Darius's eyes widened. Principal Howard's jaw dropped. Kincaid continued. "His sudden brilliance seems unlikely without assistance. Maybe he cheated. Maybe he copied online. We simply can't assume he's capable of something this advanced." His eyes flicked toward Darius, cold and sharp. The statement wasn't just false. It was calculated spite, wrapped in a professional tone. "Mr. Kincaid," Principal Howard said, pushing the papers back. "This is absurd." "Is it?" he said quietly. "Or are we giving him special treatment?" Darius looked down at his hands. He'd been underestimated before, ignored, silenced. But accused? By the man who mocked him? Principal Howard inhaled sharply. "This will not stand. Darius has done nothing wrong." "I want the school board looped in," Kincaid cut in. "This level of mathematics is beyond the scope of any student here, unless..." He turned, locking eyes with Darius. Someone helped him. Darius's stomach tightened, because suddenly he knew exactly what Kincaid was doing. The teacher wasn't just trying to block his scholarship. He was trying to bury him. And the worst part? He had the authority to make it happen. Principal Howard stood up. "Enough, Mr. Kincaid. Leave. Now." But Kincaid didn't move. Instead, he leaned down, his voice dropping to a whisper only Darius could hear. "You embarrassed me in front of the entire school. And nobody embarrasses me." Darius froze. And trust me, Kincaid added, I'm just getting started. He walked out without another word. The office door clicked shut. Silence pressed in. Principal Howard sat down slowly. Darius, I won't let him do this. We'll fight it. But Darius wasn't listening anymore. His eyes were on the MIT envelope. Because suddenly, the letter that once felt like a dream now felt like his only escape. His hands trembled as he lifted it. He tore the flap open, pulled out the thick cardstock letter, and began to read. As his eyes moved down the page, his face changed. First confusion, then shock, then something close to fear. Principal Howard leaned forward. What does it say? Darius swallowed hard. He looked up slowly, his voice barely more than a whisper. It says MIT wants to meet me today. In person. Principal Howard blinked. Today? But why? That's extremely unusual. It also says, Darius continued, his voice shaking, that someone filed a complaint about my work before they sent this. Principal Howard's heart sank. Who? Darius turned the letter around. A single name sat at the bottom. Her eyes widened. Oh no. Before she could speak again. Bang, bang, bang. 3 violent knocks hit the office door. A voice from the hallway barked, Principal Howard, we need to speak with you about the investigation immediately. Howard stood up fast. Darius, stay here. Don't open the door for anyone. She hurried toward the hallway. The door opened, and the voices outside erupted into a tense argument she couldn't muffle. Darius stared at the MIT letter again. One sentence burned in his mind. We believe your research may have been compromised. Compromised? How? By who? His eyes darted to his backpack. He hadn't shown anyone his research notebook. He hadn't told anyone about the strange emails he'd been getting. He hadn't mentioned the man who approached him outside the library last week. The one who knew his name but never said who he was. Someone had been watching him. Long before yesterday. And now? Now they wanted him. The door handle rattled. Darius! A voice whispered from the other side. A voice he instantly recognized. Mr. Kincaid, open the door, son. We need to talk. Darius froze. Because something in Kincaid's voice wasn't anger anymore. It was urgency. Fear. And that was far more terrifying.